So people, we are here today with a different kind of video, something I've not done before. A sit down sort of story of the journey I've been on from when I first started training to now. I've got a notepad full of notes to remind me. I've got a folder with over 100 pictures in from start to finish, or start to where we are now. And I kind of want to take you through all the mistakes I've made, all the progress we've made, the injuries, the wasted money, the silly things I've done, and kind of just give like a roadmap of where we are and what we've done. So to start off with, I started off, just look at this picture on my phone now, I started off playing football. I've always been a slim, lean sort of person. I've never really carried muscle at all as a younger person. And I was literally, in this picture that I'll put on screen, I was 16, and I'll probably say around about 50 kilo. And the trophy I'm holding is about as big as me. My arms look like twigs. But that's the sort of physique I started at when I was just a general normal person. And I was actually going gym at this point. I started going to the gym when I was 15 at DK Fitness. Anyone from local will know Firmiston. DK Fitness was where to be. And I used to go up there on my bike after school. So I used to go to chip shop, work, peeling potatoes, then get on my bike and go up to the gym and train in the gym. At this point, I had absolutely no clue what I was doing. Okay, I was going through, kind of just winging it, just going on machines, and I'd be there 4 or 5 times a week. And I'd be doing like magazine workouts. When back in the day we used to have a magazine, it'd be like 3 times 10 on this, and that's what I used to follow. Go home, have a protein shake, not really eat a lot, but I thought I'm definitely growing because I'm having a protein shake and I'm training. And that was kind of where it all started in terms of going to the gym. At this point, I finished school, went to college, did a sport diploma course. And that's actually where I met Harry and Summer. Summer will tell you herself, she did not like me at college. She thought I was arrogant and up my own arse, but fast forward to now, look where we are. This is where I first met H as well. Harry was a boxer. He didn't really have any sort of gym background at all. He was just a full-on boxer. He used to bring steamed broccoli and chicken into college to make weight and stuff like that, and he used to stink. So that's how we all first met. And obviously then doing that, the goal was I wanted to be a PT. The only goal I had was I wanted to be a personal trainer. And I thought this sport course was going to give me that. Went to there, got absolutely dazzled by this football course they did. And we just went there and just had a laugh really. I didn't even finish college. Summer left, went and got a job at Warehouse Gym. I think Harry left as well and got an apprenticeship at a leisure centre, and then I ended up leaving as well. None of us even finished college properly. But me and Harry first got into gym together at this point. We started skipping lessons and going to the gym instead in the mornings and completely just missing our sessions at the college. But we started to get into it then, and we really started to think, okay, what can we do with it? And was around about 60 kilo, and the first competitive race we had was, let's see if we can get to 70 kilo first. And at this point, we were training my dad as well. My dad used to come gym with us. At first, I couldn't drive. My dad used to come gym with me and just kind of shout out my dad. He didn't really want to go gym that much, but he came gym because I wanted to go gym and I couldn't get there. So he used to take me gym, and then as it got into it, he slowly fizzled out as me and Harry started to drive. But we used to go to college, go to like a cob van and get like 2 chip cobs because we thought was growing by eating 2 chip cobs rather than 1, and little things like that. But very, very good. I went from DKs to Foss Fitness to TWG. When Summer left and went to Warehouse and Warehouse opened, we started going there before college. And someone used to give us pre-workouts and stuff like that and spikers. Should make it and we'll think it's 1 scoop and it was 2, stuff like that. But TWG is where gym really started to kind of, where I fully fell in love with gym at Warehouse. The first Warehouse on Parker Drive. If you're OG, you would know the first Parker Drive Warehouse. And that was the place to be. At the time, it was new. There was nothing like it. It was a strongman gym. It was full of juice heads. Everyone there was massive. And it was just an amazing environment to be in. And that's kind of where I wanted to be. I started going to Warehouse when I was around about 18. And all I wanted to do was work at Warehouse. Summer worked there and I was like, this is amazing, I want to work there. Summer asked Linton if I could have a job, and Linton said, we spoke about this yesterday actually, Linton said no because I was too skinny. And I think at this point I'd say 65 kilo, and he said no because he's too skinny, you can't have a job here. And we were speaking about yesterday, and actually you said that probably added fuel to your fire, and without realising it probably did. Because I was paying to train there, I used to go there and I'd just be in amazement with the people that was there. There was so many big people. I remember thinking back, there's like Jay Pateman, Wayne, Linton was big, Little Jay was big, Marcus Braithwaite, Pod, Leon Williams, all these people, I was just in amazement of. I wish I was like, I want to be like these lot. I want to be big, I want to lift heavy weights and do crazy shit. And that's kind of, like I say, that's where I really fell in love with it all. It was really hardcore. So the gyms I've been to before were quite soft and normal sort of gyms, I'd say. Warehouse was completely different. It was spitting sawdust. You knew what you was getting. It was dirty. It was cold. It was grimy. The weights were heavier, and it was just a crazy place to be. It was like nowhere else. When it first opened, it was completely new. No one had ever done anything like it locally, and they literally paved the way for where a lot of gyms have gone today. I did work experience for a week. Finally, Linton let me do some work experience. Did a week's work experience. That slowly snowballed into getting an apprenticeship, and I think this was. The apprenticeship was 2014, 2015, so I would have been around about 18, 19, I started working, doing the apprenticeship, and this is where things started to snowball again for me in terms of, I was then in the environment, I was training there, I was around the people, and I started to see what was going on, and I made some huge mistakes at this point. I will hold my hands up and say I made a massive mistake with first taking steroids. I was so uneducated, wasted the opportunity in terms of the growth I could have got from it, and I was just really naive to it all. I didn't even know what I was taking. I wasn't even taking it myself. I wasn't even administrating it myself. I didn't know what I was being administrated. I was just purely and simple naive at the point. And I think that's a lesson that I would love to pass on to other people. Tie everything down first, okay? My diet was not tied down. My training was not massively tied down. I had no idea what I was taking, if it is a safe manner or not, and I just completely wasted the opportunity. And if I could go back now, that is one thing that I do regret in a way. I wish I'd just been a bit more safe and a bit more honest with myself, and I wasn't ready yet to do it. And that also led on to the next step, which was obviously I first wanted to take gear, and I blew up quite quick off it. I was quite responsive. Even today, I'm still quite responsive to taking different substances and stuff like that. I still, the compounds I take, the fat burn, stuff like that, I'm very responsive. But that also has its downfalls, which we'll get onto as well. You will actually see a picture of me as well on this. I have the first picture when I first sent it to my first coach, when Linton took it outside gym and was like, can he compete? And I was doing a double bicep. I've got 2 pairs of trackies on. I don't know what I'm doing. Back in the day where 2 pairs of trackies was cool. And this is my first point where I started to put some weight on and people were like, you could compete. And that's what we went and did. At the time, I then got sponsored by a local food prep company, Prep Perfect, and they supplied all my food for that prep as well. I, again, was very minimal with gear at this point because of the coach I'd gone with. I won't say his name because I know his job is, obviously, he has to be careful with it. The coach I'd gone with at the time, he was very minimal with gear. So I'd gone from one extreme to the other, dropped it right back down. And that, obviously, the prep did work. I got into shape. But I also had bad gyno at this point. Again, because I was naive, I didn't take care in what I was doing first time round. Gyno came on quick for me, and I actually, for those that don't know, gynecomastia is where you start to get quote unquote bitch tits, and I had a bad case of it, and I didn't really understand fully what it was at the time. When I did my first show, got really conscious of it, and I've got pictures that you will see as well, where you can actually see a difference where it's starting to grow. Marcus Braithwaite was a huge part of my first prep in terms of, he helped me with my posing, he helped me with my training, everything like that, and he kind of just pushed me for everything. I've got some pictures. When I first seen him, I look back, I don't know what I'm doing. This is the first time I've ever tried to pose. I don't know what I'm doing in these pictures, but it looks absolutely horrendous, and it's comical now, but at the time I didn't know what I was doing. And you can start to see more and more, obviously, growing into being a bodybuilder. This again was the sort of time just after this. So in this prep I started to learn a lot. It changed the way I seen gym. I then suddenly started to become more of a bodybuilder rather than just a trainer. And I actually got from being out of shape as such, or just like bigger and bulkier to actually get in shape. The prep was zero cardio. I just went to the local show, UKBFF, East of England, I think it was called, in September of 2015. I came third in that show. And again, I was really naive backstage, talking to lads, and they was on about all the gear they were taking, the growth, the insulin, and this, that, the other. At this point, I was 21 and again had no idea what was going on with it. I was very much in my own little bubble at this point. I didn't know much about gym other than warehouse. It was just warehouse was the only thing. And I obviously, at this point, again, I just wanted to train. I just love training, and I fell in love with it, and that's kind of where it stemmed from. I actually really enjoy show days, so we'll get into that in a second, but I've got like a post-show routine now where we always go to Nando's after a show. So every show I've done, we've been Nando's after as like a group, and that's one of the best parts of me is of prep. So, gynecomastia nipples. So at this point, obviously I did my show, was quite bad. You can see it in some of the pictures as well, and so decided that was it. I was going to go to Poland and have an operation to get it sorted out, and that's what we did. Went over to Poland to Medimal, paid, had the full surgery, everything removed, glands removed, all sorted, and psychologically it's one of the best things I did. Even to this day, one of the best lots of money I've ever spent, just because I was so conscious of it in the end. Just having t-shirts on, being able to see it when I was training, you could see it. I was just so uncomfortable. Didn't want to take my top off and that sort of thing. So probably one of the best things I did for sure. So that got sorted. Then as I went through, after this point, rebounded from the show quite badly. I had no real purpose after the show. Went on a 2-week all-inclusive, just ballooned back up. And I didn't really have any sort of structure at all. So then fast forward from then, 2015, was working, trying to create more of a business out of it all. And I then started to kind of make money from PT and just try and grow and go through the motions. This is a point where I feel warehouse for me was one of the best times in terms of there was at this point when the gym moved down the bottom of Parker Drive. There was in the morning, so someone was on the desk in the morning, me, Linton, Marcus had a Black Genetics crew, which was the three of us training early morning, shutters would be up in the summer, D&B be on super loud. And this is a point where, again, I started to learn a lot about training. So we was doing 2 sessions per day, 6 days a week. And I wasn't really eating a lot, but I was just getting dragged through. High volume, loads of sets, loads of reps. If they put weight on a bar and said lift it, I'd lift it anyhow. I'd move weight from A to B. We've got videos where we're doing chains, where I'm just throwing chains around, throwing weights around. There was no real execution to anything. But again, I learned a lot from it. I think a lot of people nowadays go from, they get handed so much on a plate in terms of be perfect. Whereas I think I built up a foundation of strength and knowledge through trying loads of different methods. I've done high volume, I've done low volume, I've lifted crazy heavy, I've tried to do it contractually and do it slow. And I've worked in all different manners now. So again, another complete kind of pivotal point in training for me was that. And we had some really, really good times in that summer. People throwing up because they couldn't hack the sessions. It was fast paced, it was 1 in, 1 out. And it was always really fun, and it was just that environment again was just amazing to be around. And kind of, I always thought I would love to own a gym. I would love to create my own community environment like this and give other people a chance to be a part of it as well. So if we fast forward then, jump forward a little bit to 2019. So I've gone through all this now, and I've started to think, okay, me and Harry have put some weight on. So me and Harry started training by this point. Again, we've jumped back in together full time, training all the time. And I was just consistently eating, learned a lot more about nutrition, and tried to make sure I was eating enough food. 2019, I joined Josh McHale, so his coaching service, and I first joined him at 102 kilo. And again, I got another picture of it. I was just a fat mess, a complete fat mess. Didn't really know what I was doing, but just a fat mess. And I was very happy at the time. I thought I was big, I thought I was bulky, I thought I put loads of muscle on. Really and truly, I hadn't at all. But it was good in terms of it helped me again build a foundation of understanding and I put a decent amount of muscle on in that time just from being in excess calories, eating rubbish, but obviously it did work. There's pictures on here as well with Body Power 2016 with Simeon Panda, there's Scott Swench and Shy, me and Linton in shape in 2016. So there's loads of different things I'll chuck up on screen and a bit of a flick book through for you. Me and someone went to Thailand for a month traveling, 2017. Had a whole month off training. That's the longest I've never trained for, is that time. That was not long after surgery as well, so that didn't help. And then, like I say, I've got to 2019, end of 2019, I've then got into 102 kilo, and we start with Josh. So with this, the idea was to compete again. That was my goal. I wanted to compete again. Went to Josh, very, very new to it all again, very naive to what was about to happen. The first prep was very easy because I was already fairly lean. I didn't have a lot of fat to lose. This prep I started fat, so I had a lot more hard work to do. And I just kind of grafted with it. We went with emotions. Josh McHale, very simple, very easy, and very effective. We got some very good results, and we pushed on. So the prep wasn't too hard in terms of at the start. It wasn't too bad, but I was on the kit at this point at work as well. So for those that don't know, I have a plastering job full time as well. I was working, doing boarding and that sort of thing, and it got hard. Towards the end, it was very, very grueling. I had not a lot of body fat left, and I was doing big days at work. I think I was doing some days I was doing 20,000 steps, loading out boards, carrying them they're like 40 kilo each as well. So it was hard. It wasn't easy by any means, but it was again another part of the process which helped me in terms of building who I am, my knowledge of everything, and pushed me forward in terms of actually where I wanted to take it as well. Really put me on the map of that sort of thing, and made me realise I actually do enjoy bodybuilding as such. So the pictures again, you can see where I started from my first show when I was 21 to my second show in 2019. I was then, bad maths, I'll be 25 at this point. The difference in the start position, okay. Got to May, we were doing the first show in June in Hampshire, got to May, and I got in good shape. I surprised myself, I surprised Josh, and we got fairly lean as well with the pictures that you'll see on screen. I got fairly lean, I was actually really impressed with it, really enjoyed it. Went to Hampshire, had no idea what I was doing in terms of the whole show experience again was very new, went down, got the tan, did all that sort of stuff. Ended up winning the show, came out, we won the show. Again, no one knew who I was because I wasn't really posting too much about it as such. And no one really had an idea I was even going to turn up. So we've gone, really enjoyed it, got first place. There's some pictures of obviously after we was all there. The money shot on stage and stuff like that, really, really good. And then we did a photo shoot after. So you'll see the picture of me and Summer in the photo shoot. The girl has put up with so much. We got together and when we first met each other, like I said, I was 60 kilo. And since then I've put on 45 kilo, which is like 100 pound of body weight. So I'm not even relatively close to the person I was when we first met. And she went through that prep with me because it was grueling at times, and she went through every single step of the way with me for sure. And I've got a picture here of the before and after. So when I first started the prep to what I looked like the day before the show, and what a transformation it is. And I didn't think it was possible myself. Looking at that, I wouldn't even think it's within the same time frame. But that was a 6-month period, that turnaround. And then fast forward, I came off the back of that one, not really expecting anything. And the judges' feedback was like, if you continue on, continue to make progress, you could be in a shout for a British title. And that absolutely baffled my brain. I had no idea kind of the level at which they were expecting me to be at. And then, so I had some time off. I had 6 to 7 weeks to make a decision. And on the day that I decided to make a decision, my brother actually had a motorbike crash, a life-changing motorbike crash as well. He was racing for the army, came off his bike. The bike behind him actually rode over his head. He was in a coma. He actually died for 20 odd minutes, I think. And he was in a coma for about 3 weeks. Decided I'd embark on a prep anyway, and it kind of gave me something to focus on other than what we were doing, because at the time it was every day we'd be at the hospital. because it was touch and go. We got told he wouldn't make it. And so every day it was at the hospital waiting, what would happen. And in amongst that, I was still training, cardio, steps, making sure my food was prepped and taken it with me and that sort of thing. And it was a hard time for the family, very, very hard time. And I remember literally standing by his bed and praying that he'd make it. And it's scary to think how life can change so quick in front of you. And that gave me the motivation to think life is too short, so why not just give it a go. So we committed, we went to it. Again, went to the Brits, still on the kit, still very hard. Prep was even harder this time around because I had to get even leaner. Actually, the first show at Hampshire, I wasn't the most conditioned on stage. Ross actually beat me on condition. I won the show, but he was more conditioned than me. And to be fair, he's always in condition. Every time I've seen him in prep, he's in condition. But he actually beat me, and that was a really big eye-opener for me, is you can't go into a show half-hearted. So Brits, I absolutely grafted, and I was very, very lean for the Brits. Again, got there and I wasn't expected to do anything. I seen some lads there, they were very big. There was a lot bigger than me, more muscle. But my flow and my structure carried me through that show as well. And I actually turned up, come off stage being British champion. I've got a video of Harry and Summer both crying after when I got off stage. And they've got my trophy and they're both crying after stage. Made the big man cry. Got the big man crying. British champion. And again, like I wasn't really, my head was probably in a bit of a bubble. I didn't really probably know the level at which I could have been at. And I remember this picture of me holding the trophy at the end. I was just over the moon with it all. And one of the best things is I got to go on stage with the overall winners of every single class. The level of the people on there, I was literally just in amazement that I could even step on that stage. I knew I had no chance of winning the overall, but just to be on that stage was unbelievable. And again, you've then got the same transformation from when I first started prepping Jan to all the way through to, I think it was like October time, the Brits was, and the final picture of me in October as well. On that day, again, Josh is still my coach at this point. And Josh won his British title as well. So I won my class, Josh won his class. We got to go on stage in the overall together. We got a picture with both of our trophies at the end. It's just a fantastic day overall. I love a show day weekend, getting everyone together after all the hard graft, after all the hard work, and getting to go out after, eat food with people, and the people have travelled the country to come support me. So shout out to every single one of you that's ever followed me to a show, because I've done some shows in far places. I've done Hampshire, I've done Hull, I've done London, Birmingham. We've been all over, so shout out to everyone that comes to shows. And then, so that was end of 2019, October. And then, as we all know, COVID hits in the March of 2020. And for me, it was the worst time possible because progress had just really started. I'd started to actually take a big step forward in bodybuilding, and it gave me the kick I needed. And that kind of gave me the push to think, okay, where can I take this? If I can get a British title, not really knowing what I'm doing, where can I actually take it? And then COVID hit. And I've got a picture. I went from training one of the best gyms in Leicester to this little home set-up gym thing I had, and it was an absolute nightmare. And at this point, it was really hard because motivation started to slip. You're training at home in the front bedroom, it's not the same. Everything just kind of went out the window, and obviously life came to a standstill really, and it was just horrible. At this point, again, food was still there, not really trying too much, activity levels were down, training was rubbish, and I just kind of lost my way a little bit with it. So as we got into the back end of the first lockdown, I ended up leaving Josh as a coach. And there's no hard feelings with me and Josh, we still speak. He's a fantastic coach. I still recommend people to go to him now. He's simple, he's effective, he makes things very, very easy for people to follow and gets great results. The reason I left was two-part. One, as a coach, I wanted to learn more. I wanted the more of the 1%, the things that people don't always talk about, the things that people don't always do but you want to learn, so I could then hand that down to my clients and see where I want to push it. And also, I felt like I just needed a change. Once COVID had been and lockdown happened, I felt like I just needed a shake-up to get me back in the right sort of path of progress, really. So you'll see a picture here, and I believe this is one of the first pictures I sent to Cuba, and I look in absolute state. My beard is massive, my hair's not been cut, and I look rubbish, like really, really bad. So then obviously we went through with Cuba. The home gym was a massive test, but then me and Harry started sneaking around. We were training in each other's houses. We actually trained it in Nick's garage because Nick had a setup, and we just did what we had to get by. And although people will look back now and say, you maybe shouldn't have done it, at the time I felt like it was needed. Mentally it was needed. We worked so hard to get to where we had, and we didn't want to lose it all, so we kind of just cracked on with it. But was training Nick's garage for months and months and months. And shout out to Nick, because if we hadn't, I don't know where I'd be now. We made some very, very good progress there. The big change going to Cuba was exercise execution. He made sure that we were doing things properly. I thought I could train, but the single-handed biggest difference between Josh and Cuba was Cuba nailed me for 6 months straight on exercise execution and doing things properly, and that I will single-handedly say is one of the biggest game changers I had in progressing my physique. Even from then to now, the 4 years I've been with Cuba, the main part of that has been training better, being on point with everything like that has made a huge difference. So we were getting absolutely hammered at this point. Did a big diet phase. I think I went all the way down to 82 kilos. Went up to Ultra Flex to train with Cuba and AJ. Again, another massive eye-opener. AJ was stronger than me. AJ lifted better than me. AJ was all round better than me. And at the time you think, right, I'm assisted. AJ's natural. He's lifting more weight than me, better than I am. Why is that? And just again, the environment of being at Ultra Flex, unbelievable. The chance to train with Cuba and AJ, priceless, very, very good. Again, I got a picture here with Cuba preset, was obviously talking things over, and that very, very good. And some pictures of what I got to end of that diet phase. So you can see obviously the one I showed just a minute ago with the first check-in picture to what we got to in August. So from May to August, a big change. And obviously I got lean again. At this point, I'm then speaking to Cuba saying, right, I want to now push on. Classic, I can't make weight at 2 Bros because it's just not viable for me to make weight there. What can I do to push on now? And it was the next step. We've got to go open bodybuilding. So for that, needed more weight. Okay, so we start to push on again, go back up. So picture again here, October, start to fill out again, and we ended up this push back in Nick's garage. Second lockdown came, gym shut again, nightmare, and we ended up back in Nick's garage. Again, helpful, very, very helpful, because we can carry on pushing on. And we pushed all the way up until I think I made it back to around about 99 kilo at this point. We kept pushing up, kept adding more weight on, and it put me in a great position, and that got us to 2021. We're in the garage, we're pushing up, and then again got to the next point, May 21, we actually then start prep again. And I've got another comparison from when I started prep with Josh 2019 to when I started prep with Cuba 2021. So we see a big shift in the body composition. We're carrying more muscle, less body fat, puts us in a better start position for this next prep in 2021. And it's just an all-round different prep. The way Cuba prepped me to the way Josh was very much, let's go at it, let's keep moving. Cuba was very much, right, let's go pull. We're going to go hard as we can, pull back. And again, I learned so much from this prep in terms of coaching aspect, in which I've been able to apply to my own prep clients, been able to apply to my own dieting, my own normal clients. And I would say Cuba's an absolute wizard at what he does. And that's not me licking his arse just because I pay him as a coach. He's very, very knowledgeable. And because I've been with him now for 4 years, I've seen the evolution of him as a coach as well. And the difference, obviously, he's made going forward. There's a picture here, August 2021, back up to Ultra Flex again. Me and Harry went both in prep with Cuba, and obviously we're both fairly lean, looking to compete in September. Some pictures here of me posing with Nick, some of the steps through every single prep with me. So this one, August, front double bicep, Nick's taking pictures, someone's sat there. Shouldn't have to come to posing. After work, I'm going there and she's coming to make sure things are done properly. She's learning it all. We're getting leaner. August, again, getting leaner in good condition. And we go with, the head is towards Graftism in September. And we went there, first time stepping on stage with open bodybuilders. And I was overwhelmed, to say the least. The lads were massive. First time doing 2 bro shows, I didn't really know how they ran and the expectation of the way they ran things. And it wasn't my best presentation of myself. I came 5th, which I was actually very pleased about. Massive class, because it was a huge show. And at this point, to come in 5th, I was actually over the moon with that position. But the way I presented myself, I wasn't happy with at all. So that was going to be me cut off, because I knew at that point I needed more muscle. The thing I wanted to go was to test the waters to see how, where I felt in open bodybuilding, what I needed to work on. And it just came to me that, yes, my strengths of my flow, of my structure, my insertions are all great, but with that, the amount of muscle I needed, I wasn't going to be competitive. So that was enough for me to know that I needed another off season. But because of the lack of presentation I had within that, and I wasn't happy with my performance on the day, I made for one more show, which was Midland, PTA Midlands. And I then got to go and do it all over again. Again, some pictures here of post-show, Graftism, the top 5 pictures, the condition I got into to get on stage, which was very good, with a new level of condition unlocked. Way better than the Brits, a lot leaner, a lot more muscle again. But this wasn't quite enough, so we crack on. Midland, me and Grant then competed, so I prepped Grant for it. I then got on stage myself, competed on the same stage. And 2016, I am at Body Power, fanboying Scott Swench, meeting Scott Swench and getting pictures. And then 2021, we were on the same stage together. Okay, yes, he beat me, which I would expect him to anyway. But just to say I shared a stage with someone was an absolute, like your idol become your rival sort of thing was crazy. Really good experience. And this is a picture of me posing with Nick, and just great condition, and just showed me again, if I can have this but add more muscle, how good I could look. Okay. And Midland again came 5th. Some very good lads there. Much better day for me in terms of how I presented myself. I was a lot happier, smiled, enjoyed it. Again, grafted for that show, and I absolutely grafted my arse off to get in stage condition and get as lean as I can. Because I knew I was never going to be the biggest, so I wanted to be conditioned. And I don't think I've really lost by much condition to anyone. So lesson learned. Obviously, we needed more muscle. So again, back to the drawing board, more time off. And that brings us forward until I finished that show in September 21. We rebounded up, went all the way up to back up to 100 kilo, but this time again 100 kilo was a lot better than last time. So each time I put this weight back on, it gets better and better. And then I start to push forward. I've got a picture here, June 2022. Again, this is pre going on a holiday to Cape Verde at Premier Gym Colville, around about 101 kilo here, and then obviously we start to push on. It comes all the way through. Now we're skipping forward, we've done the gym tours. You'll see physique updates in the shameless plug. Go back to my other YouTube videos. You'll see all the updates in them videos. There's some in Shreds, there's some in Hella Gym, that sort of thing. Have a look through them, and you'll then get us through all the way to December. Okay, and we're 102 kilo at this point. I believe 104 kilo I got to at my max weight in end of 2022, and that is kind of where we got to the heaviest point. Heaviest point of my ever was 104.3 kilo, and I've got some comparisons here from when I went on holiday in June to December. I made my first push-up after Graftism, and I wasn't impressed with it in terms of I feel like I let myself down, honestly. I didn't put enough effort in terms of making sure every day was bang on. I thought, yeah, I'm getting bigger, so I'm getting more muscle, and I didn't maximise my push-up. So that cost me. So in essence, I see that push-up as a little bit of void. I wasted that time. So then I've done the second push-up, and that went from June all the way through to December, and I made some very good progress. And again, you'll see the comparisons, and you can see the amount of muscle we added in that time frame. And it's just been a crazy 6-month push-up to get to that point. And then we got up to 104.3 as our max. I maintained over Christmas period to about 102 kilos around that whole Christmas period of 2022. and then we started another diet phase in the middle of Jan. And just last week, I completed the tidy up. We came back down to 94 kilo, the best 94 kilo I've ever been. Body very, very responsive, body very good in terms of new muscle, condition held very well, and progress made. So that is the current position, 94 kilo. The story is not over, the story is just part way through, but we have made some very, very good progress from 15, 16 being 60 kilo, all the way up to 104 kilos. So if we said 45 kilo added, that's the best part of £100 of body weight increase, which is absolutely crazy, and it blows my mind to think it. I would say take homes, things to actually consider with what you can do to improve yourself. Don't waste time in terms of just throwing everything in the kitchen sink at it. Be methodical, okay? You have at your fingertips, you have so many brilliant coaches, not just myself, other coaches out there. Go invest your money and do things properly, okay? I wish I had the knowledge of people around me that I do now when I first started. I wouldn't have wasted time with money on gear, with getting gyno, wasting time training, doing silly things. I would have been so much more beneficial doing things properly. So don't waste time on that. Learn to train hard, okay? Things are not always easy. Things are not always perfect. Learn to train hard. That is going to be the key to adding muscle, period, okay? You can eat all the food, you can take all the supplements, you can band everything, you can cover everything, but if you cannot train hard, you cannot take things to failure, you will not grow, okay? And just keep consistent. The difference between me and other people that were training when I was 16, 17, 18 is I have been consistent throughout. Okay, I've not stopped. There's not a week that goes by where I'm not trying to make progress in one way or another. And it is just relentless addiction to progress that keeps me going, okay? A different sort of video. I'm not even sure how it's going to come out. I'm going to put loads of different pictures on there. There'll be videos in there. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it gives you a bit of a background as to kind of where I've come from, what I'm doing. And the next step is for me to get on stage early 2024 and be competitive in an open bodybuilding class. So watch this space, it's coming soon. I didn't realise all the things that I'd done until I've gone through my pictures and stuff like that. Let me go to the toilet quickly.